on varied range of topics in many national and international ophthalmology conferences. He has conducted many masterclasses on various topics across Maharashtra. His interest areas include cataract, refractive surgery, premium IOLs, and has keen interest in teaching and training activities. With this, I welcome Dr. Jagdish Virajdas sir. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Nilesh, for your kind words. Good evening, friends. Next 1 hour, you are going to have a nice journey with me. I hope you will enjoy this journey. Nilesh, I hope my slides are visible.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay.
Your screen is visible. Just you can, yeah.
Okay. Good evening, friends. Today, we are going to discuss how to achieve emetropia by fine-tuning of biometry, the IOL calculation formulae, and SIA. No financial interest related with this topic. Friends, about 25 years back.
I request all doctors to keep their microphone muted during the session, and during the question answer session, you can unmute your microphone. Thank you. Yes, sir.
Thank you, Nilesh. About 25 years back, when I was doing my post-graduation, I used to get the patients with the vision of PLPR, hand movements close to face. And very rarely we used to get the patient having vision more than 6/24 or more. And that time our aim was to remove the cataractous lens and put an IOL just behind the iris. Whether it is in the bag, in the sulcus, doesn't matter. Just put it behind the iris. And on the next day, if you get a round jet black pupil with clear cornea and bedside vision of 6 meters, then you are an excellent surgeon. So very rarely we used to get a patients having more than 6/24. And even then, we are doing a good surgery. That time we were thinking that we are doing a good surgery. But friends, the time has changed now. Now, patients come with a vision of 6/12 or even with 6/9 vision. And they expect a vision of 6/6 from us. So we have to be precise in our cataract surgery. The time has changed. Previously, the cataract surgery is now revised, is named as refractive cataract surgery. I hope all of you accept with these wordings. So there are a variety of factors which influence the precision of cataract surgery. I have listed some of them, which are as follows: dry eye, biometry, IOL calculation formulae, such as newer generations, such as Barrett's and Hill-Arbier formula, SIA, that is surgically induced astigmatism, even the surgical planning while operating, the incision size and site, rhexis size, shape, and its centering, and even the IOL placement were also important. Even the pre and post-operative care and treatment was must and was careful also to do this properly. The instruments which helps for fine-tuning includes optical biometer, which is a must according to me. Other instruments such as eye tracing, topography, or image-guided systems are beneficial to that. So if you have got these instruments in Sone Pe Suhaga, or optical biometer according to me is the must. Friends, as you all know, in 1950, Harold Ridley did his first IOL implantation. Do you know what was the post-operative refractory error? The patient had minus 24 diopter spherical and 6 diopter cylinder at 30 degree. From that day onwards, the IOL calculation formula's hunt was started. Till 1980, the effective lens position was 4 mm because most of them were putting the AC IOL or an iris fixating lenses. Later on, with the existence of the Vergennes formula or regression formula, in 98, two parameters came in existence. The two parameters initially were axial length and keratometry. Later on, in 1994, Olson introduced 4 variables. Additional 2 variables are anterior chamber depth and lens thickness. Later on, the formula went on improving, and today Barrett requires 5 variations, which we'll discuss and see frequently hereafter. What should be our target refraction, friends? A 0.5 diopter plus or minus should be our target refraction. And this target refraction, this 0.5 target refraction, what we are supposed to achieve. Friends, as you all know, Warren Hill is a famous surgeon, and also he is developing Hill-RBF formula. While developing Hill-RBF formula, as you all know, this Hill-RBF formula is a data-driven formula. It works on artificial intelligence. So he was collecting data from all over the world. And after collecting more than 500 million of data, he analyzed, he found certain interesting things, which may even shock you people also. He has presented that less than 2% of the surgeons, please listen it carefully, less than 2% of the surgeons get this target of 0.5 refraction in 90% of the patients. Only 2% of the surgeons get this. What about others? Remaining top 6% surgeons get this result, target refraction, in 75 to 80% of the patients. Whereas majority of us get this result only in 60 to 65% of the patients. So there is definitely a chance for us to improve our surgical skills and attain a target refraction almost up to 90% or even beyond that. So for these reasons, we have to adopt the things what we are going to discuss today. Same time, the Olson also has presented data. He was analyzing the post-operative surprises, and to his surprise, he found that axial length is the culprit for 54% of the times. Corneal curvature is about 8% of the times, and 38% of the time it is the post-operative ACD, which is responsible for the post-operative surprises. So most errors in biometry are avoidable, and most are due to human errors. So our goal should be minimize the post-operative refractory error. This should be our goal. So we start working in this. Friends, if you get an error of 0.5 diopter at each stage, what is going to happen? For example, while measuring the axial length, if you are going to do a mistake of just 0.2 mm, it is going to give a 0.5 diopter spherical surprise afterwards. K readings, almost 0.5 diopter keratometry reading mistake will give rise to 0.5 diopters. IL power, as you have seen, so many times we ask the distributor, can you give me 17 number lens? He asks us, sir, I have got 16.5 or 17.5. Will it do for you? No. So even IL power can give rise to error of about 0.5 diopters. If you are using the older formula like SRK2, which is an obsolete formula, you should stop using SRK2. In a normal eye also, this will give rise to almost 0.5 diopters. If you are using a wrong A constant, for example, the optical biometer A constant, if you are using for ultrasound biometers, then you are going to make a mistake. So if cumulative effect of all these will almost become a 2.5 diopters. So we should be cautious at each and every step. So keratometry, A-scan, and calculations, all of them run in hand. Any one mistake at one level, like keratometry or A-scan or calculation, will give rise to post-operative surprises. So friends, first we'll start discussing about the keratometry. Now, as you all know, there are manual keratometers and automated keratometers. Manual is nowadays becoming rare and rare. But when we were started practice, that time the manual keratometers were present, and still it is present in our OPD as a showpiece. Friends, the keratometry readings do come correct with this, but definitely the newer machine has got advantage over these machines. We are going to discuss how these are important in my next few slides. For example, the manual keratometer, it do the keratometry at 2 points of the cornea in a zone of about 3 to 4 mm. Whereas automated keratometer, it usually works in a zone of 3 to 7.7 mm at 4 points. So definitely 2-point keratometry is not superior over 4-point keratometry. So automated keratometers are more superior than the manual one. Similarly, in IOLMaster 500, the keratometry is done at 2.5 mm zone, and it studies the 6 points. whereas in LENSTAR, we study the zone of 1.65 mm and 2.3 mm, and totally 32 points were analyzed. Whereas in IOL Master 700, which does in 1.5 mm, 2.5 mm, and even at 3.5 mm, the zone, it sees 18 points. It studies the 18 points. So in a nutshell, in a diagram way, I am showing it over here. In IOL Master 500, it does the keratometry at 6 points at a zone of about 2.5 millimeter. Whereas in LENSTAR, it is done in two zones at 1.65 mm zone and 2.3 mm zone at 32 points. Whereas in IOL Master 700, they are in three zones, 1.5, 2.5, and 3.5. So definitely these keratometers are more superior over the manual one or even the automated 4-point based keratometers. So friends, why we require a central most keratometry? The central most keratometry is very important in case of cataract. That's why we never take the pentacam reading or topography reading, the keratometry reading of that into the IOL calculation formula, because it measures at a zone of 3 to 3.5 mm and beyond that. Whereas for cataract, we require the central most zone keratometry. Okay, this point is clear, I feel. While doing this procedure, the head tilt plays a very important role. At the same time, patients should be seated comfortably in a chair. In a proper chin rest should be kept. The chin should be kept at a proper level. And how to compare the head tilt? The simplest way, if you move the joystick from one eye to the other eye, and if both the corneas are in the same plane, that means there is no head tilt. If you have to move the cursor either up, joystick either up or down, that means the head is tilted. So you can make the patient sit comfortably, keep the head in straight position, and do the keratometry readings. Here I am going to give a simple example, friends. As you all know, cornea is steeper in the center and flatter at the periphery. For example, if we do the manual keratometer at 3.2 mm zone, this cornea measures suppose 44 diopters. The same cornea, if it is measured with IOL Master 500, which does the measurement at 2.5 mm zone, will give a reading of 44.3 diopters. LENSTAR at this zone gives the reading of 44.5 diopters. Varion, which measures at 0.8 to 1.2 level zones, which give a keratometry of 44.7. So almost 0.7 diopter difference over there, which will pass on to the patient postoperatively. So whichever keratometer may be, you have to optimize the keratometer constants. Is it clear, friends? Whatever, the machines are all good, but you should know optimization of those machines also. Next, what are the validation guidelines? While doing keratometry, we should keep these things in mind. Do keratometry on a virgin cornea, first and foremost important thing. Never ever put any drops before doing the keratometry readings. I've seen surgeons after dilating doing keratometry, after putting the paracaine eye drops, doing some procedures like sac syringing and even pressure checkup, afterwards they do keratometry. That is wrong. I have seen even surgeons putting the lubrication drops and doing the keratometry. You are fooling ourselves only. Ultimately, we won't get a good result. So keratometry should be done on a virgin cornea. Later on only you can do the tonometry, pachymetry, A-scan, invasive procedures should be done afterwards only. Make sure that your cornea is centered. For squint eye examination, occlude the other eye. If the readings are coming inconsistent between the measurements, please repeat it again. If corneal power is less than 40 or if more than 47, like extreme keratometry, please repeat it again. Rule out certain conditions in case of deep cornea, the keratoconus or something like that. Average corneal power, if differs by more than 1 diopter between the eyes, repeat it again. Astigmatism for either eye is greater than 2.5 diopters, please repeat it again. If unusual keratometry readings because of poor Meyers, then avoid drying of the cornea or rubbing and maintain a proper centration is very important. If corneal cylinder does not correlate with the spectacle cylinder, usually you should cross-check it. Usually 1 diopter of variation will do because lenticular astigmatism is also present sometimes. A difference of 1 diopter will do, but if it is more than 1 diopter, you should also see with suspect. If a patient is wearing the contact lens, the test should be postponed for at least 1 week, minimum 1 week or maximum up to 2 weeks. So these are the validation guidelines before doing keratometry. Now, what are the common watchouts during keratometry? The lack of calibration. Friends, I have seen the surgeons not at all done the calibration of their keratometers even after purchasing the machine. For many years, they are not yet calibrated it. Please do calibration of all your machines for cataract surgery required. For example, keratometer or a scan or something like that, at least once in a week. Always in case of minor keratometers, unfocused eyepiece will give rise to problem. Focus it before doing everything. If there are distorted, faint, unfocused Myers of the axis measurement, please repeat it again. If patient is unable to fix it properly due to discomfort in sitting posture, adjust that first. Later on with chin alignment, everything should be, one patient become comfortable, take the readings. Eyelid interference is also one of the drawbacks. Excessive tear film or inadequate tear film will give rise to problems. Treat the dry eye first and then call for the surgery in case of inadequate tear films. Eye drops given before keratometry should be avoided. Always try to fix an appointed staff, particular staff for that reading if you are a too busy practitioner. Tonometry should be always performed after the keratometry, never before it. Okay, after keratometry, we will go with the A scans. As you all know, friends, in the market, there are a variety of ultrasound available, A scan available, with the help of which we can do the contact or immersion mode scans. But even optical biometers are also available, which works on the principle of laser interferometry. Nowadays, even swept source-based, OCT-based biometers are also available in the market. If anybody is doing contact, I will request all of them, stop using contact method for your scan. Shift to the immersion. It is must. I will show you what are the drawbacks of the contact and what mistakes you are going to make with the help of that. What is the significance of a proper A scan? Friends, this is a very important point and everybody knows it. 1 mm error in axial length will give rise to 3 diopters of error in normal eye. But in case of short eye, 1 mm error can give rise to almost 7.5 diopters of error. Similarly, in keratometry, 1 diopter of error in keratometry will give rise post-operatively 1 diopter error. So you should be cautious while doing the A scan and keratometry. Even though contact method is most common, quick and easy, I will tell that this procedure should be abandoned. We should do the immersion method. Immersion method is considered as an gold standard. It is most reliable and reproducible results can get with the help of this. Less corneal aberrations because of this. What you require additional is only a required immersion shell. This immersion shell will not cost you much. Hardly few thousand rupees we'll spend on this. We'll get a good immersion shell. Initially, it is to come with the machine, but company people, if you don't ask, they won't give. But those who are buying the new machines, please ask them or deal with including the immersion shell. Now, as if I told you, the contact method should be abandoned. We'll discuss about the immersion mode. Friends, while doing immersion scan, be clear for doing what you are doing and what. Your machine should be always adjusted with immersion mode only. For example, in immersion mode is not there and contact mode is kept over here instead of immersion mode, and you do the scan with immersion mode, then you will get an error of almost 4 mm. 4 mm will give rise to almost 10 to 12 diopters of refractory surprise. So before doing immersion technique, see that your machine is in immersion mode only. After that, for example, simplest example, a 23.5 diopter axial length in contact. For example, if you check by keeping contact mode, the immersion scan is done, will show it as 27.5 diopters. Okay, so always confirm that your machine is in immersion mode. Later on, as you all know, the A spike is of cornea, B is for the anterior surface of the lens, and C is for the posterior surface of the lens. D is for the retina, E is for the sclera, and F is for the orbital fat. Few things you should know that these should have good amplitude, and the D spike should be always at right angles to the baseline. That is very, very, very important if you are doing an immersion scan. So good practice for accurate measurement of axial length. You should always do a calibration at a regular interval, that is at least once in a week. What I like about the newer optical biometers, for example, IOLMaster 700, as soon as you on the machine, first it asks for calibration, then only machine starts. Good thing. So check for calibration at regular interval is must. Immersion technique is the gold standard. Always verify the procedure mode, whether machine is in contact mode or immersion mode. This is very important point. Ensure the machine is calibrated and set for the correct velocity settings. 5 spikes should be present of good quality. Misalignment along the optic nerve will give us an absence of one spike, that is E spike. The gain should be always kept at the lowest level. Take care with the axial alignment. Now, suggested post-scan validation. Always measure both the eyes. It is always important so that we can compare one eye with the other eye. Average 5 to 10 most consistent results with the lowest standard deviation should be taken for your examination. Errors may arise from an insufficient or corneal meniscus because of ointment or drops of methyl cellulose put previous to the procedure. So avoid this. Take note of eyes that are very short or very long eyes. Repeat the test in such, or be cautious while doing these things. Repeat if the difference between the two eyes is more than 0.3 diameter, and when you are measuring the axial length, if it is less than 22 and more than 25, be cautious and see it again and again. Now we will see the accuracy part. Why I'm telling that you should shift from applanation mode or contact mode to the immersion mode. The simplest example is over here. Now, what is the accuracy? Accuracy with applanation scan is minus 2.24 mm. Whereas if the same technique is shifted to immersion, your accuracy improves almost by double. So error chances becomes almost half. With immersion scan, the accuracy is plus or minus 0.12. Whereas with optical biometer, the accuracy error will be 0.01 plus or minus. So you can see how the optical biometers are more. So even a difference of 0.2 mm over here will give rise to a 0.5 diopter post-operatively. So always invest in a good optical biometer will be my advice to all of you. Not suddenly, but next investment in cataract surgery, if you want to in the practice, go for a good optical biometer. Now, optical biometer, as I'm telling you, has got many advantages. It is more accurate. It is speed and easy to use. Even a technician can do it, so you can rely on him. Repeatable and reliable readings come with the help of this. No applanation is required in this. Updated with the latest generation of formula, which is must for all of us. Suitable even with the eyes with staphyloma or silicone-filled eyes or even with small eyes. But there are certain disadvantages also, such as a patient with poor fixation or tremors, it is difficult to get the readings. Significant ocular opacities like dense cataract, thick PSC or vitreous hemorrhage, again you have to shift to the ultrasound scan. So almost in optical biometers like IOLMaster 700, IOLMaster 500 or LensStar, the penetration is almost up to 70% of the cataracts. With the help of optical biometer, the penetration almost increases to 90 to 95%. Now, what are the optical biometers available in the market and they work on which principle? So, partial coherence interferometry, this is called as PCI technique. The IOLMaster 500, the AL scan from Nidec and the Pentacam axial from Oculus works on this PCI technique. Whereas optical low coherence reflectometry, it is called as OLCR, the LensStar, the Aladdin from Topcon, and OA2000 from Tommy works on this OLCR principle. The swept source based OCTs like available in the market are IOLMaster 700 and Argos. Now, these are the most commonly used optical biometers in the market. This slide we have already discussed, so I won't waste much time on the same slide. That keratometry I had done at 3 different zones in each machines. Now, what are the advantages of latest swept source to OCT based biometers? Higher accuracy. It penetrates even in denser cataract or thick PSC definitely. 2D eye imaging is seen, that means you are sure that you are hitting to the fovea or not. This is usually generally updated with the Barrett suit. Foveal fixation check is seen in case of IOL-Master 700, and even the posterior corneal curvature can be measured with the help of IOL-Master 700. These are the advantages of latest swept source-based optical biometers. Now, this is how the optical biometer images look like. Central corneal thickness, lens thickness, ACD can be measured. Keratometry is done like this, and white-to-white measurements. And this point will be shown as this point, where you can see it by enlarged image that whether your fixation is correct or not. You can make out the concavity, that is nothing but the foveal pit. The foveal pit is visible. If you are getting a straight line like this, that means your fixation is wrong. You are not hitting at the foveal pit. So always you can repeat the scan in these machines. This is in a nutshell what are the various optical biometers available in the market, with what principle they works, and what all things they measures. Like it measures axial length, keratometry, ACD, white to white, lens thickness, central corneal thickness, or pupillary size. For example, IOL-Master 500 doesn't measure the lens thickness. So IOL-Master 700 is superior on that, and Lenstra is also superior on that, because the parameters what we require for IOL calculation formulae should be available in those machines. Now, these are the various formulae which are available in various machines. In nutshell, it is given in this chart. Nowadays, the Barrett formula is present in almost newer machines. Now, validation guidelines for keratometry. It is same what we repeated earlier. Only one thing will be added over here, the corneal diameter. That is, if the corneal diameter is less than 10.75, that is white to white. If it is less than 10.75 or more than 13, you should repeat it again. Remaining all points are same, so I won't repeat these points. Validation guidelines for axial length are also same, what we have mentioned previously. But for reference, once again, average 5 to 10 most consistent result with the lowest standard deviation should be taken into consideration. And if the repeat the difference between the two eyes is greater than 0.3 should be repeated. And axial length less than 22 or more than 25 should be checked properly. Now, this suggested post-scan validation is also present on drhill.com, which is available online for each machines like IOL-Master also or Lenstar also, it is available. It is like this, it is available online. Now, one more thing, as a physician or as a doctor, we must know about what is angle alpha and what is angle kappa. Angle alpha is the distance between the center of the limbus over here to the visual axis, whereas angle kappa is the distance between the center of the pupil. This is pupil center, this is the limbus center. To the visual axis is a common in both the ways. So in case of eye tracing, it is very important. Why angle alpha is important? If angle alpha is more than 0.5 mm, you should avoid multifocal in such patients. Here we can make out the red cross or red line it represents the visual axis. The green line represents the center of the pupil, and the blue line represents the center of the limbus. So the distance between the red dot and the blue dot is called as angle alpha, and distance between the red dot and green dot is called as angle kappa. Now, in eye tracing, you can see the distance. For example, this is the same patient by the name, and left eye is examined, and on examination, his angle alpha in the left eye is more than 0.5. This shows that this patient is not fit for multifocal IOL. Whereas the same patient's right eye, it shows that this angle alpha is 0.286. It is less than 0.5. Why you have to examine both eyes simultaneously? This is for this reason. Suppose if you put a multifocal in the eye without seeing the left eye, later on if patient comes for left eye surgery, you can't say in that, no, you are not fit for multifocal in the opposite eye. So this is important. Now we will come to the formulae and calculation, the most important part. I was telling you that SRK2 is an absolute formula. Don't at all use the SRK2 formula. Here I am going to give you a simplest example. The keratometry of 45 and 46 steeper corneas, axial length is 18 mm. For example, for this axial length and these parameters, the different formula will give different IOL powers. The Hoffer Q says that you require a 43.5 diopter of IOL. SRKT says that 40 diopters of IOL. Holaday says 41 diopters. Okay, these are at least 1 or 2 diopters here and there. But see with SRK2, SRK2 shows that it is 35.5, almost 5 to 6 diopter difference. So don't ever use SRK2. It is an absolute formula. That is basically a second generation formula. You can always use any formula which is after third generation. So don't use these first two. Use third generation onwards formula. So Holaday 1, Hoffer Q, SRKT, and even the newer formulae are better. Holaday 2, Haggis, and even the Barrett and Hill RBF, they are also good. Now, the range of axial length and preferred formulas by ultrasound biometry. Those who are doing ultrasound biometry should keep this in mind. If your axial length is less than 20, please use Holaday 2 formula. Between 20 to 22 diopter, 22 to 22 mm, use Hoffer Q formula. Axial length of 22 to 24.5 mm, use SRKT, Hoffer Q, or even Holaday will do. If it is more than 24.5 to 26, use Holaday 1. And if it is more than 26, use SRKT. This should be used by the people who are using the ultrasound biometers. Now here I'll give an example, the IOL Master 500 readings. Here you can see the method stated by SRKT formula. Here the axial length reading is coming as 24.3, which is slightly myopic side. But the keratometry, if you see 4740, the two steep corneas. This is very rarely occurs. And if we calculate with SRKT, it has also got some limitations. It will give rise to a power of 14.5 diopters. Okay, it will give us 14.5 diopters. With the same parameters, if you use in case of Barrett formula, he says that use 13.5, almost 1 diopter difference. I'm going to show such examples here afterwards also. So these newer formulae, Barrett Universal 2 or Barrett formulae, are more better than the older formulas. Now, this is the chart in a nutshell, which is present on Hill RBF data by drhill.com. He says that the Hill RBF formula and Barrett works almost for all length of the eye. Okay, so according to him, he says that these two formulas are best if possible, and these two formulas are available online. So you can use, take the benefit, they are free of cost. Remaining all formula are paid formula. You get this formula when you buy the machine, then only. These formulas, are, even if you are not using the optical biometers, these formulas are available online. Okay, so I will recommend all of you to shift to this. Now I would like to tell one interesting story over here. Recently, about almost 2 years back, in fact, in Vienna conference, ESCRS conference, I met both the Hill and the Barrett on the same stage. I asked him a simple question. Sir, can you answer me please? That both of you are present on the same stage. Please tell me which formula I should use. Hill, what he answered so politely on that stage, he told me, friend, at this moment, my formula is not as accurate as Barrett. Why? Because the data for hypermetropic eyes and for myopic eyes, I have got still less amount of data. So at this moment, if you ask me, Barrett formula is more superior than Hill RBF formula. But he also added one more word that after a few years, when I got sufficient data for both hypermetropia and high myopia, my formula will definitely be better than Barrett formula. This was the kind words what he has told on that day in front of huge audience. So really appreciable. So in nutshell, SRK or SRK2 formula absolute, don't use that. Always use third generation onwards formula. Holaday 1 or Holaday 2 are two different formulas. Holaday 1, whenever it is mentioned as Holaday, it is usually Holaday 1. Holaday 2 is again a different formula. See, please check the A constants according to the IOL, which is very important. A constant for ultrasound and optical biometers are different for the same lens. So always according to that, use the A constants. For Follard A, use a surgeon factor. You have to calculate your own surgeon factor for that formula. Whereas in Hoffer Q, ACD is also very important. Again, a few things which we are supposed to take precautions while operating, that proper lens box is there or not, exchange of the data from this to that man is not there or not. These are simple common points which all of us know, but they are also very important. Now, the optical biometer and ultrasound biometers. The A constant for optical biometer for one lens, if it is 119.3, the same lens ultrasound biometry, it will be 118.8. There is a difference of 0.5. Do you know why this difference is? See, basically it is because of what? Ultrasound, it works on sound waves. It has got a different velocity when it traverses through the eye media. Whereas the optical biometers, there is a light source which travels in an eye with a different velocity. That is one reason. Second reason is that, for example, when you do ultrasound biometry, it measures the axial length up to the internal limiting membrane of the retina. That is the innermost side. That is towards the vitreous side. That is the first layer of the retina. Whereas these optical biometers measures the axial length up to the pigment layer of the retina. That is towards the choroid side. So that difference, and because of the velocity difference, usually there is a difference of this. So never ever use this machine readings. I have seen so many times company people telling that what is the A constant for this lens? Even if you are doing an immersion method, please use, they say that optical biometer A constant. No, that is wrong. If you are using the ultrasound biometer, use its constant. Whether the readings are taken from this machine only, then you have to use this machine reading only, this constant only. If the readings are taken with optical biometer, then use this A constant. I have seen sometimes axial length, after adding this into this, will give a wrong reading. Never do that. You can add the keratometry readings of the lens star into the A-scan machine. That will do, because keratometry of this machine is more accurate. That can be acceptable. But never put the axial length of A-scan into the optical biometer, because I told you it measures differently. Actually, it compensates that whatever excess it calculates. Okay. So never ever use cross-change the readings from this machine to that machine, except the keratometry of this. Now we'll shift to the newer formulas. Hill-RBO formula is a purely data-driven formula, which works on the principle of artificial intelligence, whereas Barrett's is an artificial paraxial ray tracing formula, which works on the Gaussian optics. He is the Hill, and this is at the same conference in Vienna. He was there on the stage, and when I was attended his lectures over there. Barrett was also present that time, but he went off later on. This was photograph was taken. The same thing I will repeat, why we are supposed to shift to improve our results from 60 to 65% to almost 90 or beyond that. We must shift to the newer formulae. This is the person when I first met him in 2014 conference at Jaipur, APSCRS conference, the Barrett. He impressed me. That day onwards, I started using the Barrett's formula in all my cases. This was the initiation. Later on, I am in association with this man till recent conferences which held in Kyoto. I have attended all the APSCRS conference after that and attended all table meeting with this person and updated my knowledge of Barrett with this person. So what I like about the Barrett's formula? Barrett's formula, friends, we all were knowing that posterior cornea has got an against rule astigmatism. A 0.5 diopter of against rule astigmatism. This was known since 1800. But even in spite of knowing this, none of them has used this posterior corneal curvature into account. They have not taken into account. And formula, first person, Barrett is the first person who took this posterior corneal curvature into account without actually measuring it. That is the greatest part. Without actually measuring the posterior corneal curvature, he has, on the basis of anterior, he anticipated the posterior corneal curvature. That is the greatness of the formula. So the Barrett's formula is able to predict the posterior corneal curvature without actually measuring it. Now, for Barrett formula, what are the prerequisites for using Barrett Torrey calculator? I always tell all the surgeons, that use Barrett toric calculator, whether you use a toric lens or whether you don't use a toric lens. Okay, use always a Barrett calculator. Don't ever use universal 2 formula. It will give same reading, but what is the advantage of Barrett toric calculator, which we are going to discuss shortly. So, what are the prerequisites for using Barrett toric calculator? A good optical biometer is must because we require it works on 5 parameters. One is axial length, second is keratometry, third is white to white, fourth is ACD, fifth is the lens thickness. So to get the accurate reading of these 5 parameters, we require a good optical biometer. Second thing what I would like to tell you is temporal clear corneal incision of 2.2 to 2.4 mm. This will give the minimal astigmatism, so it will not affect much post-operative results. So that's why he recommend always a temporal clear corneal incision up to 2.2 to 2.4 maximum. Even if we increase this incision, the SI go on increasing. I'll show you in frequent next discussions. So this Barrett toric calculator is freely available on www.apscrs.org or on ascrs.org. On these 2 sites, it is freely available. Now, before going to that online direct Barrett calculator, how to use that, we will discuss few examples which will show you that you must shift to the Barrett toric calculator. For example, this is the IOL Master 700 reading, which gives the keratometry of 44.65, 45.42, showing astigmatism of almost 0.78 diopters. Okay, so this 0.78 diopter astigmatism, if I'll put the same values in a Barrett toric calculator, after putting that, my incision on 180 degree, and we will find that 22.5 diopters non-toric lens is required. This is because posterior corneal curvature has taken into account. Okay, once again I will show this slide. Astigmatism of 0.78, keratometry 44.65, 45.42. When it is added, 44.65, 45.42 with the same axis, the post-operative result, the IOL power recommended is 22.5 non-toric lens. Why I told you not to use a universal 2 formula? For the simple reason that every time you will come to know what is the residual astigmatism you are going to get after putting IOL. For example, the spherical equivalent to 22.5 is also shown over here. Okay, so what universal formula 2 formula is going to show is already shown in this toric calculator also. So you need not go to the universal 2 formula. Always use a Barrett toric calculator. Second example, very interesting, I will show you. For example, here the keratometry of 44.83, 45.01, almost at 0.17 diopter of astigmatism over here. And once you put this data into Barrett calculator, you will see that patient requires a T2 lens. Okay, so even 0.17 astigmatism over here, you require a toric lens, whereas a 0.7 astigmatism doesn't require a toric lens. Okay, this is the importance of a toric calculator, and it is always easy to tell the patient that whether you require a toric lens or not. Only after measurements I will tell you, and after measurements also you can tell him if you don't use a toric lens, you are going to get almost about 1 diopter of post-operative refractory astigmatic error. With the help of this, you can convince the patient for the toric lenses also. This is in association with Barrett. Now we will directly go to the online Barrett toric calculator. As I told you, click on this www.ascrs. I will just exit from this and directly will go to the Nilesh, my screen is shared.
Yes, your screen is visible. You can.
Okay. Okay. Now, friends, we are going to see how to use.
Sir, sorry,
okay.
sir. We are able to see your PPT. We would like to see your screen on which Barrett formula you went.
Yes. Okay.
Just stop sharing and one more time you share it. That will be easy.
Yes. Okay, Is it okay now?
Yes, sir.
Hello.
Yes, sir. We can see, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir,
Now,
we can see.
friends,
Yeah.
yes. Once I go to Google, if I will type www.apscrs, it's already over there. Once you click on that, you will come across this page. Once again, you click on this point, you will next get this page. Now, this IOL toric formula are available at two places. I am slightly enlarging my screen. Here also you can see the IOL formulae. Now, this formula has got version 2, which is the latest formula. So we have to click over here. Now see, for example, Barrett Truque formula, Barrett toric calculator, Barrett universal 2 formula, Barrett treatment formula, Barrett Truque formula. What are these formulas? Friends, if you are using or if you are doing a surgery, cataract surgery in a post-refractive patient, use Truque formula. Okay, is it clear for you? If you are using a Barrett Truque formula, that means the patient has already undergone LASIK surgery or RK surgeries. So in those patients, you have to use the Barrett Truque formula. And if you want to put a toric lens in such patients, use Barrett Truque toric calculator. Okay. Whereas in Barrett toric calculator, this is other formula. This is universal 2, which everybody knows about it. Now this Barrett treatment is for secondary IOLs. For example, you are putting a piggyback lens or lens exchange you are doing. In that case, you are supposed to use this formula. So here we are going to use the Barrett toric calculator. This formula is also available. If you go down, scroll down, it is available over here also. But this is the older version, that is Barrett calculator version 1.05. So I will recommend you not to use this formula. Use the latest version formula over here. So once you click on this Barrett toric calculator version 2, you will come across this page. Once you come over here, click on the terms and conditions. I accept. You will go to the next page. Okay, now this next page we are going to see in a detailed form. This is the main form where we have to fill all the data. Before filling all the data, you must know what are the things mentioned on this page. Here it is mentioned that patient's data, which we are going to encourage over here. Now, what is this K index? The K index 1.3375 is the refractive index which we use to measure the keratometry or axial length. The most of the optical biometers or all the machines in India comes with a refractive index of 1.3375. So by default, you have to use this 1.3375 in India. There are certain machines in European countries, the A constant is 1.332. It is for them only, not for Indian purpose. For Indian purpose, we can always 1.33575 is our refractive index. Okay, this point is very clear. Second point, what is this positive cylinder or negative cylinder? Friends, the residual refractory error, if you want it in a positive cylinder form, you click it over here. If you want it in a negative cylindrical form, you click it over here. I always prefer to have a negative cylindrical form. Okay, because we give the prescription, usually patient feels very happy when you give in a minus cylinder form. So that's why I always, actually doesn't make much difference over here, but still it is always, from my side, I prefer to use a minus cylinder form. Now, which eye you are going to operate, click. So for example, right eye I'm going to operate, click on the right eye. So immediately you can see this picture is changed.
Sir,
Hello?
sir, hello. Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Kind request, I think you have opened a new page, so probably we are not able to see. We are seeing the only APCRS page.
Acha, you're not seeing it.
Yeah, disclaimer.
Okay. I'm sorry. I don't know why it is like that.
Sir, you can share your
Sir, you
desktop.
can do one thing,
so
sir.
Yeah.
Once again, I will open it and just start with that. So this
You
page
can
is
click
now
on
seen.
desktop screen 1, sir.
Yeah, desktop only I'm using.
While selecting,
I will share the screen. Now I share the screen. I will again go to this side. Now it is visible?
Yes.
Yes. Now it is.
Okay. Do you feel that it has stopped at first level?
Yes.
So I should start from that level once again, no?
Yeah.
Yeah, better.
So,
Yeah.
Okay, what I will do, I will cancel this. I will just once again open the new window so that it will be clear for you. Are you able to see this now APA-CRS slide?
Not
Not
now.
yet.
No, not. Once again,
Not
I will
yet,
start sharing.
Not yet, sir.
Once again. Now?
No.
Yeah, it's coming, sir.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Maybe
yes, sir.
some. Okay. So after opening that site, once again I will repeat, the IOL formulae is present over here also and downstairs also. That part you have seen? No.
Yes, that was clear, sir.
That was clear, no? Okay.
Yeah.
Once you accept the terms and condition, you will go to the, once you click on this accept, will come across this page. Now, is it seen? Barrett-Toric
No, sir.
calculator formula? Not yet?
No.
Not yet.
No.
Not yet.
No.
Once again, wait.
Sir, what
I
you
will
need
once
to do
again
is
stop sharing is, once
yeah,
I change
while
every
you
time I should
sharing-
start sharing.
no, not necessary. But while selecting, there is the options over downside. So you can share your desktop, so that will be a continuous. So even though you change
Okay.
your screen, that doesn't make difference. Yeah.
That I will do.
Yes,
one
now
thing.
we can
Yes.
Now you can see. So I will
Yeah.
enlarge
Yes, sir.
this slide. Okay. So are you able to see this Barrett-Toric calculator?
Yes.
So this is the page where we have to fill all the data. Sorry for the inconvenience, friends. I was not knowing that. Thanks a lot, you have informed me. Okay. So on Barrett-Toric calculator, what are the things mentioned on this page? The first point or mentioned over here is the K index. This K index is 1.3375. This is the refractive index for the machines which we use to measure the axial length or keratometry or everything. So in India, all the machines come with this refractive index. So by default, keep it on 1.3375. In European countries, the refractive index is different. They want to be different from others. So they have got a refractive index of 1.332. Okay, so for these reasons, we have to select only 1.3375, not the 1.32. Okay, this point is clear. Now we'll go to the next point. Now this is the plus cylinder or a minus cylinder. Okay, now usually I will like to give the prescription in a minus cylinder form. For example, what residual refractory error you are going to get is either in a minus form or either in a plus form. So here, somebody's mic is
Request
on,
doctors
please.
kindly keep their phone
Mute.
on mute, please.
Okay. This plus cylinder or negative cylinder doesn't make much difference, but I always like that my residual refractory error should be shown in a minus negative cylindrical form. So I always click on this minus negative cylinder form. Okay. After that, select the eye which you want to operate. For example, right eye I want to operate, so I will put this. As soon as you click over here, you will get right eye. Temporal is 180-degree incision and nasal is 0-degree incision. Okay. Now, for the sake of knowing, I will add my name. I will add, for example, patient's name, patient ID, for example, 1. After putting this basic data, what you are supposed to see is now. Now, what is this personal constant? This personal constant, if you click on this, you will come across so many lenses models which are available on this site. What Barrett has done, Barrett has optimized these lenses for his level. You can use the same optimized lens A constant for your surgery also. So for example, if you select J&J ZCT model over here, it is in USA, so in India, ZCT model. If you click it over here, automatically the lens constants come over here. If you don't have any lens in this box, that time, whatever company people says, that A constant, you are supposed to put it over here. Okay, now actually, the lens A constant for this toric lens from Johnson & Johnson, on the box they write it as 119.3. Nilesh, I am correct? Okay, so here Barrett has optimized this to 119.39.
Yes.
Automatically the lens factor will be automatically calculated. Once you put this lens A constant, automatically the lens factor will be calculated. Now we have to enter the flat K, such as 42.78, 85. These are my values which I used for previous patient, so it is coming quickly. Okay, always see that steep K. the value which is more, 43.75 is more. So it is steep. It is easy to understand like that. Steep K, 43.75. Flat is lesser, 42.78. Axial length, 23.63. ACD, 3.54. Target refraction, always 0. They never ever keep a myopic refractor error, or that is wrong. You should keep always aim for emmetropia only. Now, where I have seen most of the surgeons do mistake at this point. What is the SIA? I have seen surgeons putting the value of 0.5 or even 0.4. Please, in Barrett, it is the centroid value centroid value of the SIA which we are supposed to keep. Normally, the SIA value is presented in 3 forms: in mean, median, and centroid. We are going to show that afterwards. Mean, median, and centroid. And that centroid value we are supposed to put over here. So this centroid value is usually around 0.1, or it may come as 0.11 or 0.12, but it never goes beyond 0.2. It is always 0.1. Those who have not calculated their SIA, I will recommend that put the SIA value of just 0.1. Okay. Now incision location, as I told you, this is I take usually clear corneal temporal incision. So my incision will be at 180 degree. Now these are the 2 additional parameters which if you add, it is well and good. Sone pe suhaga. If you don't have the optical diameters and lens thickness and white to white, you cannot measure. In that time also you can calculate on this formula. But if you add these values, your formula become more accurate, because more parameters, it is always better for this one. So I'm putting it over lens thickness as 4, white to white as 12. Okay. After putting all the data, what I am simply pressing over calculate. Just press over this calculate once. After calculating, it will show this picture, next picture. What it shows, that your incision is at 180 degree. The steep axis and flat axis is shown. This is your flat axis. This is your steep axis. Okay. Is it clear for you? Once again, after that, if I'll click on toric IOL, this will give me a 21.5 diopter ZCT 150 model. So, and if you don't want to put the toric, you can tell that 21.5 diopter spherical equivalent lens is also mentioned over here. So you need not go to universal 2 formula. Whether you put a toric or don't put a toric, you can use this value, which is, if you put the same value in Barrett universal 2 formula, you're also going to get the same thing. So instead of that, enter in Barrett toric calculator. You can tell the patient, so post-operatively you may have almost 1 diopter of astigmatism. So it is better if you undergo a toric lens. You can convince like that. Okay, is it clear now?
Yes, sir.
Now,
it was very good presentation.
it is.
Yeah. Yes,
this
sir.
is the way how to put your K readings and how to put your data. Now, one more thing I would like to tell you. For example, once again, I will go to patient data. This is the same data what we have put. Now, for example, here it comes as predicted PCA and measured PCA. Okay, you are seeing this. For example, measured previous slide has not come yet.
No.
Patient data formula.
Yes.
It has come, the previous page. Okay. So
Yeah,
once
now
again, you see here it is seeing that predicted PCA, it is blue marked, and measured PCA. Those who have got IOL Master 700, I have seen that they are putting the measured PCA. But Barrett says that his formula is more accurate than measured PCA in normal virgin corneas. Did you get my point? Please listen to me carefully. If there is no previous refractive surgery history, measure a predicted PCA. This formula is more accurate than the measured PCA. What he says that post-refractory surgery patient, when you are using a true K formula, that time the measured PCA values are more accurate than the predicted corneal posterior corneal curvature measurements. Is it clear this point to you? So always take a predicted PCA. Okay. Now, some few more things that I don't want to confuse, but those who have got multiple machines to use, they can press on this calculator, K calculator. Just once again, I will see. Okay. Now, after pressing on this K calculator, For example, you have got different optical biometers at your practice level. For example, here it gives all the list. Even you can use AutoRef-K also. Okay. For example, in this case, I am using ILMaster 500 readings in this machine, and I'll put those values with the ILMaster 500. Then in this, if I got, for example, AutoCase, I'll put AutoCase over in the second column, and Topographer K also I have got. So I will put those values also in Topographer K. And what Barrett does is integrated K, calculating these, it takes the median of that, and that keratometry will be taken into calculation. But don't get confused at this moment. What I personally feel is stop at that level which I have shown, that toric IOL what I've shown. So it is predicted PCA, and then once again you press on this toric IOL, calculate, and toric IOL. This much is enough for your understanding initially. If anybody wants to steal more, they can always contact me on my phone number, which you can take from the J&J people, or you can, at the end of the slide, I'm going to show that also. They can mail me also for any queries. They can always call me. Okay. Now Barrett's calculator is clear for all of you. Okay. Nilesh, is it okay? We'll shift to the SI calculator now.
Yes.
Okay.
Now we'll quickly go through that SIA.
Quickly, yes. I'll shortly finish it off. Yes, just shortly. Now, is the Google slide is shareable to you? Once again? Not yet. Once again, I will cancel. I will again start sharing it, and again we'll go to. Now it is sharing?
Yes, sir.
Yep.
Google slide?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now we will go to the drhill.com. So once you go to this drhill.com, we'll come across this page. This is called as East Valley Ophthalmology. Once you click on this, you will come across this page. This page, it shows that there is a physician entrance. Okay, is it clear for you? You click on download and calculations and SI calculator.
Yeah.
Usually this SI calculator takes some time. Download the calculators, click on SI calculators. It is a bit slow, always it is slow. Yes, now it is working. So once again you come, you calculate, you put it on this side, it will be faster. Okay, once you come across this slide, login, you have to add, you have to register ID will be there. A new person has to always register and put his login ID and password. For example, my user ID is my email ID only. I'll add that. I got a password which I'm not going to share with you. Once I log in, you will see this is a bit slow. Usually the SI calculator part opens very slowly. Okay, now here comes the. Now is it clear for everybody how to enter into that? So whenever you come across this slide, what you are supposed to enter in this is very important. Add new patients. I will do live demo of that. Add new patients. For example, here I am going to add, for example, my number 49 number patients. It is date of surgery is actually 5/29. So I operated it 29th May, recent. I'm going to add my K readings, pre-operative and post-operative, which I operated on 29th May. Usually, while entering data, minimum post-operative data should be taken after 4 weeks or 1 month. Not too late also, not too early also. Ideally, readings taken at 1 month post-op, K1, K2, before surgery, what you have taken, post-operative K1, K2, 1 month post-operative K1, K2 axis, everything you have to calculate, and usually it should be done on the same machine. You should not change the machine. For example, previously I used Autoref with K, say the same K reading from the same machine. Don't change the machine for keratometry afterwards. So patient's age, I will put it over here. What's the age of my patient is? Suppose say 55. Now which eye I am going to operate? I operated on right eye. So this is right eye. If the patient has undergone any prior corneal surgery, you have to take it over here. Undergone LASIK, undergone refractive surgery, undergone RK, then only you have to search it over here. But such patient usually don't add into the SI calculator. Now in case of right eye, my incision will be at 180 degree. Okay. Now incision type. What type of incision you take? Whether you take a clear cornea or near clear or scleral. I always take a clear corneal incision, so I'll write it over clear corneal over here. Now what is my incision size? I usually take 2.2 mm incision. Okay. Now what are the pre-op K? The pre-op K is 42.06. And the axis of that preoperative K, A1 is meant for axis, okay? The 42.06 at 95 degree. Similarly, K2, what is the K2 is 42.39, 39. And axis of that is at 5 degree. Now post-operatively after 1 month, the keratometry changes to 41.75 and the axis of which is 100 degree. This is a post-op K of the same patient, and here it comes as 42.31.31 and axis of this is 10 degree. Okay, now usually in the comment part I mention the name of the patient. Why? Suppose I want to revise that in this patient, what was my SIA, whether I handled it more or less. Usually I recommend if you are handled a corneal wound quite a lot, a very hard cataract, don't enter those things into this SI calculator. For your study purpose, you can do it, but I always mention the name of the patient. For example, I'll mention it as A, B, C, something or this. Sorry. I will mention it as something A, B, C for the time being. Okay. So when the patient name is entered, I also mention that what type of incision I have taken on my case paper. Same thing will be entered over here, 2.2 or 2.8, which lens is it? Because after 1 month, usually you don't know which lens was used in that patient. Sometimes the lens incision is extended to 2.8. While doing phaco, you do. Afterwards, you have to extend by some other reason. So I usually mention those points over here. So after entering everything, you can also mention, I usually divide my surgery into 4 grades. Grade 0 is a smooth case. Grade 1 is a minimum handling. Grade a moderate handling, grade 2, and a grade 3 severe handling. So that also I can see why in this case the SI is more. So once after putting all that, I am going to save that. Once it is saved, it is entered, it is enough. So you can now go back. 1 minute, it is taking some time. Yes. Now I will cancel this over here. After this, now for example, I have got almost more than 50 patients, that I suppose in this case. Now I have to go to the reports. Once I will click on this report, I have to fetch a report for my patients. So here I am going to select my clear corneal patients. My incision size was from 2.2. For 2.2 only I am calculating, so right now it will be same in the patient's age. I will write it as from 20 onwards till the 80 years of age. All patients should be taken into consideration. Surgical date, from which day to which day, data you want. So I am putting it over as 1/1/2019, for example, till today's date, 30th June. And I want to fetch the report of these patients. Once I do fetch the report, you will come across this page. Just a minute, it takes some time. So here you can make out The SIA calculator can display SIA values in 3 different ways. Are you able to see this? In mean form, median form, and centroid form. And what centroid says,
Yes, sir.
for example, yes. Now I will slightly broaden it for your purpose. So what it is written over there? Your SIA data for Barrett-Toric calculator. So this centroid value should be used, not this mean or not this median. Friends, be careful. I have seen the SIA value what I am putting in Barrett is either mean or median value. We are not supposed to take this mean and median values. It is the centroid value which is important. For example, for my data, 33 patients data was found. And now this is the left eye, this is the right eye. It is opposite here. Right side right eye, left side right side. And the incision where it is taken, you can mark on this. The mean value of my SIA is 0.39. Okay. So doctors are entering these values. No, not at all. These are not values which you are supposed to enter. Not even the median values. Median value is shown over 0.34 over here. Okay, but the centroid value, if you see, it comes as 0.11. In my left eye, it is 0.11, and in right eye, it is 0.15. So it is almost 0.1 only. Okay, is it clear, friends?
Yes, sir. Very much clear, sir.
So this is how SIA calculator should be done. If anybody wants more details, they can always call me up. Now, coming to my last point. Once again, I will stop sharing that. Again, start sharing this. And so this is about online diet also you have seen. Afterwards, you have seen even the dr-hill.com. So friends, in conclusion, achieving emetropia is a process which has got many steps, and each step needs to be optimized. We have optimized very few steps, what you have seen today. Like this, we have to optimize in each and every field. Thank you very much, friends. And also at the end, I would like to thank the Johnson & Johnson complete team for giving me this opportunity or inviting me for this talk. Thank you, friends. Nilesh, you can take up the questions now if time permits to you.
Yes, thank you so much for your.
I will stop sharing my screen now.
Yes. Yeah. So thank you so much for your enlightening talk, sir. While we thank 100+ doctors investing time in this web show. Now I request all participating doctors to unmute and ask your questions, which will benefit to the groups. Please, we can take few questions.
Yes, friends, any question? You're always welcome.
Hello, sir. Yeah. Hello, sir. I'm Dr. Muthian. Can I ask a question, please?
Yes, definitely. No problem.
Hello.
You can ask. Tell me.
Yeah, I'm Dr. Muthian. Sir, how do you calibrate the auto keratometer from the auto case? You said we have to calibrate the keratometer.
Yes. For the way in which
calibrate,
Yes, the way in which you calibrate the refractory error, autorefractometer. Same way, keratometer is also calibrated with the help of that. That dummy model will be given to you. You put it over the chin level and do
the auto also similarly we have to do.
Yes.
Thank you.
Hello. Doctor, I have got one question.
Okay, ask me.
The A constant of immersion when scanned is it equal to the optical A constant
No. It is not, because you are referring to different machines which traverse with a different intense velocity in two medias. So even I have seen some company people coming and telling me that A constant same you can use for optical. No, it is wrong.
Okay.
It is wrong. Only in case you are using optical biometers, then only take that reading.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay.
So there is one question in chat box also.
I have a question.
Yeah, doctor.
Yes,
please go ahead.
Sir, suppose I am planning to do having a monofocal lens, but I want to calculate post-op astigmatism. And I am calculating the power by the toric formula.
Yes.
I am putting only monofocal lens, not toric lens.
No problem.
So
no problem.
Then, how do I know post-op results?
Madam, I have
regarding
told you,
this, sir.
post-operatively, if you have taken all the precautions, what machinery shows that post-operatively residual refractory error, what is showing in a Barrett toric calculator, that is what refraction you are going to get after surgery.
Suppose, sir, I don't have a Barrett formula and I'm just calculating on Technis toric.
So for that reason, you have to shift to the Barrett toric calculator only, which is freely available online, madam.
But I don't have, sir, optical biometer. I have immersion
Acha,
method.
no, no problem. You can add those values. Nothing wrong in that. You cannot calculate the lens thing and this one is accurately. You can still optimize by using those readings, how much post-operative refractive error you are going to get, analyze that, whether the lens is in a proper position or not, what is the post-operative refractive error, what you get, see SIA value, where you can improve, slowly start improving. It will definitely come.
Okay,
it is a learning
thank
process.
you.
One by one, you should start it.
So I have to feed all the readings in Barrett.
You can
All
put
the readings of
any reading, yes, except you won't get a lens thickness and white to white. Suppose white to white you cannot put. The more you put, more parameters value you put, you will get the more accurate results, ma'am.
Okay, sir. Thank
That
you.
is what all about optical biometers only.
Okay, sir.
I request Dr. Nilima to ask her question that she has posted
Okay.
in chat box. Hello.
Madam, you are not audible.
Okay,
Nilesh, you
just,
can read that question.
Yeah,
You
I
can
will
read
just
that
read
question if
out that
possible.
question.
Yes, yes.
Can we fill ultrasound biometry readings in Hill RBF or online Barrett formula? That I think
Yes,
we
you
have
can fit. Yes, you can fit always, no problem. But the measurements are more accurate with optical biometer than these measurements. I have shown the difference. The keratometry difference with normal manual one, autoref one, how much difference it comes. It is like that.
Sir, even for high.
Tell me, madam.
Yes, please.
Hello.
Yes,
Can I ask? Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
She is asking. No, I wanted to ask for a very high myope. Yeah,
Yes.
even for a very high hypermetrop. We
Yes.
put it for emetropia, we put 0 only. We should not
Yes.
put it a little.
Yes.
Not to put it little myopic or something. No.
No, madam.
Because
Madam,
you
what,
said you
for
put it
example,
0.
yes, always 0. Why I will tell you. You are treating the patient for today. I have seen that slightly myopic you are keeping so that in future it will help him. Madam, patient comes to you for surgery today. Give him the best result today. He will remember it. If you keep the error, it will keep on increasing afterwards also. So treat for emetropia at this moment.
Hello.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, doctor. Now you ask your question.
Hello. Can I ask one question, sir?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Sir, in a post-refractive surgery, the patient who has undergone LASIK, do you advise toric IOLs in such cases? Because
Madam,
do you find
any LASIK surgery, in any LASIK surgery are going to induce the lot of aberrations, frankly speaking. Lot of aberrations. But if because of RK or something like that, I will definitely won't pick a multifocal. Toric is okay. Toric you can manage.
Toric is okay.
Yes.
Toric is okay. But multifocal toric will give more of problems. So it's up to surgeon's choice. With all risk and everything, you are supposed to. And one more thing, madam. Never promise, even using a Barrett-Truque formula, what he has proven that this post-LASIK surgery, Barrett is comparatively 76% accurate, not even 100%. Okay, madam. See, what Barrett says that with my formula, still the accuracy comes to 95 to 96%. Still 4% is missing. He is searching for that 4%. Where can he improve? It is like that. It is always improving, ma'am.
Yes, yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
Okay.
Thank you.
Sir, can I ask a question?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. I wanted to know, sir, Shama's formula versus Hegi-Zell versus Barrett's formula. So,
yes, ma'am.
if in a post-refractive surgery, which you think would be the best formula? Are they comparable or not?
Madam, they are comparable, but usually see what happens. even this question comes every time. Barrett's Truquet formula has come recently, which is shown that I told you 76% accuracy rate with that. It is not even 100%. With the Shamas, I think it is 56% to 64%. It's something of that range. It is there. I don't remember it exactly. So what people do, all three formula they take, and the median of that they take and put the formula. So avoid the complications.
Oh.
So
People
actually,
are doing.
IOL
But
Master,
what Barrett
IOL
says
Master
that,
gives KGZL also. So it becomes
yes,
very
ma'am.
easily available. Do we take
Yes,
that or should we just stick to Barrett Truquet?
At this moment, Barrett Truquet is more accurate. At this moment, Barrett Truquet is more accurate. That's what I'm telling. 76% or more percent the accuracy is with that. But post-classic, you're always unpredictable. And Barrett himself says that use the measured PCA in case of Truquet formula. He says that measured K will help you get more accurate results.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Okay, ma'am.
Thank you.
Yeah, any last question, if anybody has, we can take it or we can wind up today's session.
I would like to say one thing.
Yes, ma'am.
Sir, this has been a wonderful session.
Thank you, madam, for the compliment.
Very enlightening, very enlightening. I don't mind you taking some more sessions on the same topic again.
Okay, ma'am. Thanks a lot. Thank you.
Thank you, doctor. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. We are a little bit gone out of time, but I think yes, but definitely it required. So once again, thank you very much, sir, for your detailed, informative session. And I declare today's web show closure today.
Okay. Thanks
you very
all
much.
the doctors for sparing time and
Thank you.
Thank you.
Can you share?
It was
Thank you so much, sir.
excellent.
Wonderful.
Sir,
My email ID.
Can you share
Yes.
your? Can you share your phone number?
Thank you, sir.
My mobile number is 98. Can you take down 98 223
98
223
98 22